Hey guys, Dastro here. Another gun video, but this time with a sniper rifle. You guys have been asking for it. I'm finally bringing you some recon class rifles, and this one is really a true heavyweight. It's known as an AR-10 or even an SR-25. In game, you may know it though as a Mark 11 Mod 0. Let's take a listen. Now, you astute watchers will know that this is not an SR-25, but instead a DPMS LR308, which is like an SR-25, except a whole lot less expensive. This one has a 24-inch barrel, a Magpul PRS stock, and a Falcon Menace variable scope on an Armalite 30mm mount. Oh, and also has a bipod. That's kind of cool, too. Now, this DPMS operates near identically to an SR-25 or a Mark 11 Mod 0. It has a few differences, though. But before I go into those differences, let's talk about the rich history of this rifle, because boy, it's rich. Starting off, Eugene Stoner is the designer of the SR-25 or Mark 11 Mod 0, and he's also the designer of the AR-15, or the M16 as you may know it in game, and he created the original AR-10, which the SR-25 is based off of. The AR-10 was designed by Eugene Stoner as an all-aluminum gun. The original AR-10, in its prototype phase, had an aluminum barrel. And during the competition in the 1950s to replace the M1 Garand with its next-generation battle rifle, they provided an AR-10 sample, a prototype, with an all-aluminum barrel to Springfield Armory, which at the time was one of the big testing facilities the Army utilized. They put the gun through its paces. And, not surprisingly, the aluminum barrel blew up because aluminum is not a good material to use for barrel. It was just a prototype. And this created a stigma with the AR-10 that the Army never forgot about. In the end, the M14 was selected over the AR-10. The M14, also you may know as the M39 EMR or the M1 SOCOM. It goes by a number of names. It's also in the game. Undeterred by this loss, Armalite and Eugene Stoner successfully sold the AR-10 to a number of countries internationally. He also ended up creating a bunch of other rifles that you may or may not know about. And in this respect, he really is one of the most iconic U.S. firearms designers of the 20th century. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail of what else he created, but the long story short of it is, he joined Narc Garment Company in the 1980s. He took his original AR-10 design and redesigned it to fit more modern military requirements, and made it much more similar to the AR-15 as we know it today. Eventually, the U.S. military adopted it as the Mark 11 Mod 0. So what are the big differences between an old-school AR-10, an SR-25, or even this DPMS LR308 that I'm shooting? Well, for one, the original AR-10s had its charging handle underneath that fixed carrying handle that we see above it. It cocked back similar to, let's say, for instance, an FNFAL. Now, while it was non-reciprocating like an AR-15 or an SR-25 charging handle, it doesn't glide over the top of that buttstock like an AR-15 does or an SR-25 does. In addition to this, the rail system in an SR-25 is not present with an AR-10. Rail systems in the 1950s didn't exist. And on that same note, the rail system on SR-25 is free-floating. The barrel itself is free-floating, which means the rail system isn't actually touching the barrel. The rail system is attached to the receiver instead. Why is this important? Well, if the barrel is unobstructed as it vibrates back and forth, it actually creates a more accurate shot. And on that same note, it's the same reason why we have what's called heavy barrels, or bull barrels. These are barrels that are much thicker in diameter than a regular barrel. And as such, when that bullet travels through it, that barrel is going to vibrate less. And as it vibrates less, it allows you to have a more accurate shot. Now, this AR-10 that I'm shooting in real life has a bull barrel, and it has a free float handguard, and so it's still pretty accurate. And again, I'm using the term AR-10. It's not a real deal AR-10. It's a DPMS LR308. However, I'm calling it an AR-10 because it's simply easier to say. Moving on beyond the differences, One thing that I noticed is that I don't really like playing recon in game. And I know there's a lot of people out there that watch my videos that do like playing recon, and this is by no means trying to hate on you. I just don't enjoy it. I'm so used to just playing more of a close quarters or medium distances kind of thing. I don't have the patience to get in game and get a bipod out and snipe some dudes. On the other hand, in real life, shooting this DPMS LR308 is a lot of fun. Long distance shooting generally is a lot of fun. It's very calming. It's almost like fishing. You sit down, you wait for the wind to be just right, you get that perfect sight picture, you slowly control your breathing, you squeeze that trigger, and you're able to hit a target, a very tiny target at really long distances. That's a sense of accomplishment. And you may only put maybe 20, 30 rounds through the gun in the course of maybe an hour. That's okay. You're having a good time doing it. And in the end, it's about having fun, having a good time. Okay, let's wrap this up. In-game differences between real-life differences. The biggest one in my mind is the magazine capacity. Most SR-25s and AR-10s and other modern AR-10-like rifles come with a 20-round magazine. The one in-game only comes with 10 plus 1 in the chamber. To me, that's a bit strange. Now, I understand from a balancing perspective you don't want to give it a huge magazine. I get that. But beyond that, they got it right. Aesthetically it looks right, mechanically it's right. They did a good job on this. So, all that being said, thanks for watching. I got a whole lot more coming. Some more German rifles, perhaps. And if you liked the video, hit the like. It helps me a whole lot more than you think. I'll see you guys later.
This is going to be hard. Okay. That is so difficult to do. It's ridiculous.